I'm at Nottingham's Sneinton Market and I'm here to find out why Donna Fox, the Chief Executive of Emccan, are trying to implement Caribbean Carnival Arts into the national curriculum.
Carnival Arts is so many different things. It's dance, it's music, it's costume, it's design, it's making, it's theatrical, it's performance, and I think it's that fusion of all those different art forms that makes it infectious. I also think that it needs to be taken seriously as an art form because dance, theatre, as a sector, Caribbean Carnival Arts is not seen as important, and yet the street is our stage. It's not a party in the street. There's a lot of thought, a lot of rehearsals that have gone into a lot of late nights making those costumes through the night, and I see the troupe leaders and artists really committed and really engaged, and I want to share that with the rest of the community. Not only that, I think that it is a way, it's a tool to engage children and young people and unlock their creativity, but also help them engage in other subjects. So it can be a tool to understand the national curriculum in different ways. It's rooted in the Caribbean, it's cultural, it's traditional, and it's really important that we share the values and the community importance as well.
I'm at Derby West Indian Centre, the base for Derby Caribbean Carnival, meeting Mr. George Mighty, a pillar of the West Indian community and one of the founding members and former chair of Emccan. After you'll hear from a wonderful artist named Honey Williams, followed by Peter Walker, an independent director of Emccan and chair of the finance committee.
It's about education in the first place.
Yeah.
And people are miseducated. There's thing that miseducation by people not knowing all about what happened, and especially newcomers to a community. People are always suspected of what you do. But as far as I'm concerned, Carnival is the basis of black arts, and if you're going to talk about black arts, it needs to be taught in school as well. It's about also it's about the transmission of the West Indian culture as far as I'm concerned, and so that has to be education for all.
Okay, the way that I will encompass the findings of the entire project in my piece of art is that I really want to present all the senses, and even the senses that we don't even know that we have. I want to encompass everything in the piece of art. I use mixed media, things like acrylic, spray paint. I use words and just interweave them, interlace them all throughout the piece. I'll use fabrics, possibly. I'm not even sure what I'll use. But basically, I want to connect with the audience that's seeing this in a different way, in a unique way. Something that would really grab them.
There's not a lot of research on the impact of Carnival, although more and more papers are emerging and more bodies are becoming engaged in this question of how is it that Carnival has such an impact, and especially in schools. We wanted to carry this project out in such a way that we could capture data through questionnaires throughout the life of the project. Questionnaires answered by not only the pupils but by teachers, and we also wanted in our project to gather as wide a variety of narratives about the project as we could, so that we could understand how the artists might experience the project working in schools, but also the pupils, of course, and the teachers, and if possible the parents, because this collective narrative is so important in modern research. Not necessarily to gather facts, which we can get through data sheets and feedback questionnaires, but to try to understand just how people's feelings are engaged in Carnival in such a way that we can begin to appreciate and maybe articulate what's going on in that magic process that is carnival.
I am on my way to Leicester to meet Richard Fletcher, who is a lecturer at De Montfort University, and resident artist Charis, who has been leading on the Stenson Primary School project, taking a whole school approach. So what gaps have you found in the literature? What do you think there needs to be?
I know that the two schools that were involved, there was a kind of different, obviously the schools themselves are different and come from a slightly different demographic area, so there's sort of background information to look at there. And the approach that was taken in the two different schools was different as well by the two different artists, but they also had a kind of different sort of theory behind their practical approach. So as it's kind of drawing towards the end of the project, we've got lots of pretty rich sort of reflective diary and log type information from the artists, which I've been flicking through, and it's some of the things have been pretty fascinating as far as I can't remember precisely which one it was, but the description from the artists about that it was kind of both the boys and the girls participating in the activity in a pretty equal way, and this is because at the sort of national level, the taking part survey statistics, which show arts engagement for 5 to 10-year-olds, typically show that boys do not participate in a variety of art forms as much as girls do. Across most of the art forms that are included in that, they're about 10% behind, let's say. But for the section that is street arts, festivals, carnivals, things like that, they're about the same. So there's obviously something in the format that has that kind of effect, and also that carnival art form is one of the areas where they typically participate outside of school. So whether they're boys or girls, that's typically where the engagement comes from. So it's a fairly novel idea to bring that into school.
So let's talk about your involvement in the project. So working with the schools, what have you kind of noticed and got from the experience?
So I've been working in Stenson Primary School, and we've been delivering carnival arts on a whole school approach. It's been exploring carnival arts through science, English, geography, history, PHSE. It's really been quite eye-opening. It makes me realise how important representation is. Challenge some expectations of the children, even my own personal expectations as well, things that have come out of this. It's been a very interesting project.
And how do you see carnival arts, especially the Caribbean, moving forward within the national curriculum? Do you think there's more space for it? Do you think this project will help open up further opportunities?
I should hope so. I think that it's necessary. I think that it's been such a not only enjoyable experience, because I think there is the enjoyment of carnival, but then there's also the very rich contribution that it can give. I mean, I started this as a 15-year-old, and I'm not that much older than these kids are, and the things that it's done within my life personally, I mean, leadership skills. Yes, you've got the arts and creativity, but like project management, all of these skills come out of this, and I think it's quite interesting it would be quite interesting to take this project further and see what else
This is Jess, who is a resident artist at Springfield Primary School, encouraging child-led learning through the loose parts theory. Some of the children in this approach have special educational needs.
Part of this project was aimed specifically at working with children with special educational needs. And school that I worked in at Springfield was very good. There's a good mix of children there. They have a unit that runs alongside the mainstream school, and some of those children came out and joined in the sessions with us, but there were also a number of children with special educational needs who were in the mainstream class. So we had a bit of a mix of children to work with, and that was really interesting to try and see how that way of working, the loose parts way of working, and the carnival working creatively with them, how that engaged them, how they engaged with the process and materials that we used.
I've now ended up to Northampton to meet Marcia Walker, Chair of Northampton Carnival, which do a lot of engagement within schools.
So why do you think it is important that we have carnival arts in the national curriculum?
Oh, it is vital. We did have a national curriculum. She was an art advisor, and she created this curriculum around carnival, and it was alive and kicking. And in fact, she did a lot of work with big, enormous puppets. She focused on that. 2 or 3 years after her retirement, those schools were able to keep that going. And it's about teaching young people not just the craft, but a history. Having the arts as a focal point, and we've had ministers come to our school, we've had people from the Arts Council have come to see how is this school manifesting the arts and achieving so well elsewhere. It's not just us, but we're a good example. There are others, there. And the answer is the arts give young people a kind of soul. I can't explain it any other way. It's something, there's freedom of expression, there is something different, there is light release. There are students who are now at university who are not studying music or drama, but use it. It's their outlet. They play an instrument, they sing, they dance, they whatever. It's not part of their agenda. So for me, it is one of the most vital things. And if my school, where I'm a governor, can be that example, then we're happy to promote and advertise and say to people, you're not going to suffer your students.
Well, this has been a real eye-opener and groundbreaking project. What do you think? Should Caribbean Carnival Arts be part of the national curriculum?